Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper. Undeniably, two icons of professional wrestling headlined the first of what would be the marquee annual wrestling event, WrestleMania. More than a decade later, are set to face off at the grandfather of all pay-per-view specials, Starrcade. Piper wants more than Hogan's world title. Instead, acknowledgement of equal professional status is his primary objective. By winning the World War III Battle Royal, last eliminating the total package Lex Luger, the Giant earned a world championship opportunity, leaving Luger still eager to prove his worthiness as a top contender, but with an enormous mountain to climb. Eddie Guerrero and Diamond Dallas Page meet for the vacant United States Championship, which had been stolen by and in possession of the NWO, while the Outsiders defend their World Tag Team titles against the Faces of Fear, Barbarian and Meng. Dissension amongst the Horsemen has developed over the inclusion of Jeff Jarrett, who must prove himself against the crippler Chris Benoit. Plus, two spectacular cruiserweight showdowns, and the crowning of a new women's champion, at Starrcade 1996. Ultimo Dragon faced Dean Malenko in the opening contest to unify the J-Crown Championship and the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. The match was competitive, with both wrestlers exchanging holds. Ultimo Dragon gained the upper hand with a single-leg Boston Crab and STF, while Malenko countered with suplexes and an ankle lock. After some back and forth, Ultimo Dragon missed a moonsault, allowing Malenko to apply the Texas Cloverleaf. Following a brainbuster by Malenko and more exchanges, Ultimo Dragon ultimately pinned Malenko with a bridging Tiger Suplex, winning the match and unifying the championships. The second match featured Akira Hokuto, with Sonny Ono and Kensuke Sasaki, against Medusa for the inaugural WCW Women's Championship. The match included various moves from both wrestlers, such as Hokuto's double choke and Northern Lights suplex, and Medusa's tornado DDT and powerbomb. After a superplex, Medusa dropped Hokuto outside, but Ono intervened by hitting Medusa with a pole. Hokuto lands a missile dropkick and wins following a Queen Bomb, becomes the first WCW Women's Champion. The next match featured two dynamic cruiserweights, Jushin Thunder Liger and Rey Mysterio Jr. Liger started strong with a delayed vertical suplex and a powerbomb. Mysterio responded with a head scissors takedown, but Liger countered with a suplex off the apron and another powerbomb. Both wrestlers exchanged moves, including Mysterio's springboard moonsault and leg drop. Liger then used a diving headbutt. The match concluded with Liger executing a Liger bomb and pinned Mysterio for the win. The next match would be a no disqualification match featuring Chris Benoit and Jeff Jarrett. It began with both wrestlers exchanging maneuvers, as Benoit executed a belly-to-back suplex and a sleeper hold, while Jarrett responded with his own versions of the suplex. Arn Anderson entered the ring during the match, followed by Kevin Sullivan, who attacked Benoit with a wooden chair, while Anderson delivered a DDT to Jarrett and rolled him into the ring. However, Benoit is unconscious and Jarrett covers him for the win, leading to further dissension among the Horsemen. The following match featured the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, against the Faces of Fear, Meng and the Barbarian, for the WCW World Tag Team Championship. The referee, Nick Patrick, characteristically showed bias towards the Outsiders, as the match was back and forth until the Faces of Fear teamed up against Nash. After the Barbarian missed a diving elbow drop, Nash responded, and the Outsiders took control over the Barbarian until Hall suffered a double-team effort. The Barbarian used a nerve hold on Hall, but he escaped with a belly-to-back suplex. Nash then entered the match and won after a big boot and a jackknife powerbomb, pinning the Barbarian to retain the titles. In the final match for the vacated WCW United States Heavyweight Championship, Diamond Dallas Page faced Eddie Guerrero. The match began with both wrestlers exchanging moves, and Guerrero taking control. When Page gained an advantage, interference from Hall, Nash, and Six turned the tide against him. Hall executed an outsider's edge on Page, allowing Guerrero to pin him after a frog splash and win the vacant title. Afterward, Hall, Nash, and Six attacked Guerrero and stole the title belt again. The penultimate match featured the Giant against Lex Luger. Luger started strong with punches, but the Giant quickly took control after a clothesline. Luger fought back with kicks following a missed body avalanche. Despite the Giant gaining the advantage offensively, he missed a dropkick, and Luger retaliated with clotheslines, a neckbreaker, and a scoop slam before applying the torture rack, but Six interrupted with a spin kick. However, Sting arrived and left a baseball bat in the ring. Luger used a low blow and attacked the Giant with the bat to secure the win. The main event featured Hollywood Hogan, with Ted DiBiase, facing Roddy Piper in a non-title bout. The match began with back-and-forth action, including a clothesline and kicks from Piper. Hogan left the ring, but Piper followed and attacked him, using the guardrail and a belt. DiBiase distracted Piper, allowing Hogan to fight back. The Giant then appeared and tried to chokeslam Piper. During the chaos, a fan jumped the barrier and struck DiBiase, confusing the Giant, who continued to hold Piper. Hogan and referee Randy Anderson intervened, eventually subduing the fan. Once the match resumed, Piper bit the Giant's nose to escape the chokeslam and later applied a sleeper hold on Hogan, making him pass out and winning the match. Hall and Nash arrive at the scene and Piper confronts them, while the Giant exits the ring. Piper manages to escape, prompting the outsiders to check on Hogan. The Giant looks at them and then turns to Piper. Hogan and his team pursue the Giant down the aisle. The Giant shouts at them and questions their absence during his match as Hogan accuses him of failing, but the Giant disagrees and walks away. The NWO continued its expansion heading into 1997, and would kick off the year with its own pay-per-view, Sold Out, which would exclusively feature members of the NWO vs. WCW. However, in spite of several additions, the group would see its share of eliminations and defections, beginning with the Giant, who was excommunicated for failure to ensure Hollywood Hogan's victory over Roddy Piper, and would exercise his right to challenge for the world title. Matters between Hogan and Piper would be far from settled, and the two icons were destined to collide once again, but perhaps most interestingly, looming in the shadows, is Sting, who is changing drastically and with no indication as to where his allegiance lies. Nevertheless, as the year unfolds, his intention would become increasingly more clear.